It's not always about being happy and relaxed. In the contrary, no. I mean, an exciting concert should make you awake.
Hello, I'm Paavo Järvi, music director of the Tonhalle Orchestra Zurich. Welcome to Tram for Two, a series where I take my guests on a tram ride through Zurich. Hello, we are back in the tram with two very special guests. Today it should be called Tram for Three. We have Tanja and Christian Tetzlaff joining us here. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful to be here.
It just so happened that you two became kind of really well known in the music world. You are people who are often and together playing Brahms double concerto and playing, with a quartet and everything. So working together now professionally, how does that feel?
I love it.
Yes.
No, it's really good. We are very close friends. We almost know everything about the life of the other, which is, once the embarrassment is over, it's a very good feeling and makes you also, while in playing, quite communicative, because you don't have walls.
I felt it yesterday. You can hear, when I hear you play, I hear a brother and sister. I hear, which is so wonderful in this music especially.
From the outside, so it sounds a bit boring, because of course a piece like that lives also from contradiction and being against each other. But maybe, as it is often with siblings, we are different enough to allow that.
I wanted to say, don't worry, I think we play very differently still.
Yeah.
And,
I don't think that you play similarly. I'm just saying that I can feel a certain energy that is there because you are brother and sister. Speaking of family, I have two kids and you have like endless amount of kids. I have lost track how many kids you have, but there is a lot.
I don't know about him. It's perhaps not sure, but I have only three.
Only three, and how many?
Six.
Six. So basically there is a kind of a little chamber orchestra brewing here already. Tell me,
Yes, actually,
it so happened that both of my girls were very musical and have been studying piano since they were kids. But now, when they went to college, they opted not to go into the music. And your kids are, I guess, on their way to becoming musicians.
Except for one, yeah.
Yes,
I
except for
don't
one.
know yet. I don't know yet. I mean, my
Is it something
eldest
that you
one.
want or not?
My eldest one is studying the bassoon of all
Yeah, but
instruments.
I mean, life is sometimes unfair.
No, it's actually really beautiful, and I'm glad that he didn't choose a string instrument, because that's sometimes tough, when the parents are string players.
But
and
the
you
double
do
reeds,
exactly the
making
same.
those reeds.
Yeah, but he's a boy. He listens to Rabbit, so I'm very happy because he's really enjoying it so much, and he loves the studies. But the others, I don't know what will become.
Yeah.
Because for me, I find it. Sometimes I feel, well, it's too bad. Sometimes I feel actually it's nice that they have their own thing and it is not music. And I don't exactly know how I feel about this. I just think I accept it and it's fine. But you don't have this kind of feeling that
for me it was quite easy, because we were lucky brought up, even though we showed some promise at early age,
So
that there was no pressure about you should practice long, you should not play in youth orchestra all the time. So we did all the things that involve us with other people while making music, which and for my children, 5 of them who play, they see how much we love music. Simply not about professional, how much we listen and how we get involved. When we sit in concert or opera together with them, they see how much that means to us. And that's the only enticement we give.
you have a special project, something to do with sweets.
Sweets.
Tell me about the sweet project that you have.
Sweet for Nature. Well, I made a movie. It's called Sweet for a Suffering World, where I went with the Sweet, or is it called Sweet, by Johann Sebastian Bach, to places where you can see already the damage done to nature by climate change. And I was sitting there and playing, and just for the nature, and also the audio was actually recorded at the places, so it was crazy. I mean, we were climbing up to the glacier with 5 degrees, sitting in front of the ice, and I was playing and it was filming. So huge project. If you want, look it up. It's called
what is it actually called?
Sweetsfornature.org.
.org.
Yeah,
Sweetsfornature.org.
Exactly.
It's interesting because this is something
and it's
that
a website where you can find all the information. Also, I made a lot of interviews with the people there that are directly concerned by it. And I'm also doing a lot of concerts working together with scientists that have this problem in their mind. And it's amazing what you can do, because the scientists, they tell me, please, artists, work together with us, because our facts are ignored. We are hated for what we tell the world about the state the world is in with climate change happening. And when it's a concert where I can share the stage with the scientists, somehow the emotional impact of my music, also perhaps if I talk to the scientist as a normal person, something happens and something is triggered in the people. And
but I think also now, especially, it is so much even more important to do that because of the general, the direction that the politics, and especially in US, the politics takes us into this dark ages where they're denying any. They're calling it the climate hoax and all this nonsense, which
it's a disaster.
which I think should mobilize us all to really keep that subject in the limelight, or in highlighting the subject. Recently, there was this big announcement, and I read it in New York Times, that you have decided not to go to US. Do you want to talk about your motivations, and do you want to say something about this, because I think it's so important to be socially somehow connected and vocal about even one's feelings about what's going on.
Yeah, if we start with the climate change as something that affects me already, but my children, my grandchildren severely. In any case, even if we do a lot, it will impact. Then, of course, the anger at a country who says doesn't exist for us, and this just forgetting about the rest of the world, because for us we make more money now. We decide this is how we go. It's very hard to live with at the moment for me. And when all these things came together on one sunny afternoon in Chicago, I said I cannot do it anymore. I will stop going to the States, even though that's one of my biggest places to play, 20 concerts a year maybe. And that was partially to release the scream inside of me, but also it was to say, if maybe 200 more musicians would do it right now, there would be a little message. And maybe then in my utopia also 100,000 people in New York, which is not very much in New York, would maybe go on the street and say, things are wrong and the Americans are treated badly, who are not exactly rich and aiming for richness.
And the interesting thing was that also many people in the US said, we accept and we like your decision, because it feels now that what is happening to us is actually reminding us of 1933 in Germany, because the democracy is absolutely at stake and being slowly or actually very quickly reduced to nothing.
We forget somehow how fragile the democracy is, and how fragile how quickly things can change, and change literally feels like overnight.
And very often we hear by audience, okay, we want to go to a concert and have a good, nice time. We want to relax, we want to lie back and forget about the horrors of the world. But actually, what we want to express with our music, and I think what also composers always wanted to express with their music, was concern, was empathy, was stories that are told by the music, And it's not always about being happy and relaxed. In the contrary, no. I mean, an exciting concert
Exactly.
should make you awake and aware of all the feelings that you could
Yeah.
have in your
Agree.
life.
Well, I mean, if you look at Gustav Mahler, it's not about easy listening. It's about describing human condition in its all possible aspects. And when I often hear this, oh, classical music is so relaxing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it could
It's
be the
horrible.
most
I think
horror.
that's
Yeah.
also what Lina means. If they
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
that people used look for kicks in the weirdest places, in video games, wherever, we have some kicks to offer. Not with Karl Stamitz,
But
even
with
if though you played
Zagreeb,
really well,
Zagreeb.
but with
If you're a violist, I think Stamitz will get a lot of kicks.
but with some of our big pieces, we really dig deep. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tanya and Christian, for this wonderful conversation. This was Tram for 3 this time. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.
Thank you.